course. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Welcome. I need to pull up your chat, as always. There it is for YouTube. All right, you guys should be there in a second. It always takes it a minute to bring it up. There you are. Hello, all. Hey, Drake. Hey, Kay. All right. I gotcha. Perfect. Let me get this set. Excellent. All right, let me get TikTok rolling. Go live. Hang on, guys. Actually, make sure the volume. There we go. Volume is now. The volume will correct in a second. I just turned it up. All right, let me get TikTok rolling. Mute microphone. I want to mute my microphone. All right, there we go. There we go. Hello, Evie, or Eve Killer, I should say. Oh, hey, guys. How are we? Volume should adjust itself in a second, Manda. I had it too low and I turned it up. I think there's an auto adjust thing. Yeah, there you go. See, there's an auto adjust thing that happens, it seems, as well. Hey, TikTokers. Hey, YouTubers. Sub-only chat. Damn it. I was, ooh. I knew it. I did a chat earlier today on TikTok. Thank you for the gift there. I knew I was going to leave sub-only chat on without trying to leave it on. Hang on. I totally knew I was going to do it. There we go. Now it's for everybody. Now it's for everybody. Oh, hang on here. There we go. Thank you. I see gifts here. Wait a minute. Cerveza, Elizabeth, thank you guys. James, Sexy, Dawn. Thank you guys. I am good today. Kate, how are you? Anyway, hello. So that's the flower thing. Yes. So thank you, Elizabeth. There's a new TikTok gift that's some kind of a flower thing, but I like it because it reminds me of the Ukrainian spring flowers, you know? I know the keys. I may at some point, we'll see. I may at some point turn on chat only for some of the lives. Thank you for the flowers. Was it Big Hawk? World is, Liz, World is again, Tebow. Thank you guys. Thank you, Al. Yeah, I just keep trying to sort of scheme up ways to provide benefits for the monthly subscribers. It is dark. Well, because it's 6 o'clock at night, Eastern time, U.S. It's still winter. Jedi, let me look. Okay, I get a lot of messages on TikTok. I sort of go through them, but not all the time. I will take a look. Thank you guys for the gifts. Thank you, Mustard. Thank you, Joe. Bonjour, Gunther. Thank you, Joe. There's a lot of news today, actually. I tried to even pare it back a little because some of the stories I think will require like longer discussions. So we shall see, but there's a good amount of news today. So did I call you Evie? I always forget which one you are. You're Eve Killer. Are you also the Evie person? I never can tell who's who with which thing. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, McFadge. So I don't know. I still have a hard time with you guys figuring out No, I just didn't shave. Probably going to shave tomorrow. Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate that. Anyway, so how are folks doing? It's Friday. Excellent. Thank you, Cerveza. Tomorrow we've got our coffee chat. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, John. Our coffee talk tomorrow morning. That's for the paid subscribers, the monthly subscribers on TikTok and YouTube, Discord, Twitch, Ko-fi. And thank you, Arunas. So join me tomorrow morning on TikTok, 11 a.m. Eastern time U.S. That's New York City or Washington, D.C. time. The rest of you, these are the monthly subscribers. The rest of you come over to Discord. You should have already linked your accounts if you're Discord, Twitch, Ko-fi, etc. To Discord, but hopefully you have. The thing is already set up, so do go check it out. Okay, Sasha, you had enough. No. Sasha's starting the show by drinking her water live and then demanding more already. Thank you, Ellie. Hey, that's enough for now. I gave her water because she always, at the end of the show, like it's classic. At the end of the show, my dog wants more water. So I gave her more water right now. She drank it all and then went, Thank you, Blue Ariel. Anyway, thank you, Al. So welcome, guys. This is the show. Basically, I do this every Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S., and we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Also, national news coming up in the U.S. Obviously, election news is a big deal here. So always talking about that when there's anything to talk about. There really wasn't anything I found terribly newsworthy today on that front. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Crazy American. Coffee talk tomorrow morning. Remember that. Let's dive right in. So it's day 734 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Thank you, Sophia, for the gift. So actually, what the hell? I'll give you guys the gift pitch since people are being generous with the gifts. So TikTok is being a PITA. They cut off all of my money for the videos I do because TikTok actually pays creators. We get sort of payments for our videos based on traffic. In the last 2 weeks, they cut off all my money to my videos that I post on TikTok. It's gone. I mean, 100% gone. Costing me literally several $1,000s gone of income each month, gone. And I think it's because I'm getting, too many non-Americans coming to my videos. And I was like, they didn't tell me that, but I did my research. And lately my videos, not these, but my videos on TikTok are getting more Europeans. And apparently people don't pay for Europeans. So the money's gone. I mean, literally zero. I got over 100,000 views, maybe 150,000 views on my videos yesterday, and zero money came in, zero. That should have been $50, $100. Any case, the reason I'm saying this is why this just happened overnight. This is why I mentioned to you guys about the subscriptions and the donations. I have been doing this full time now for 2 years. There is no way in hell I'm going to keep doing this if this is the new normal. I am not allowed, and I will not suggest that I'm going to stop if I don't get donations. I'm going to find a way to keep doing this, but I need your help because quite literally TikTok just took away $2,000 plus a month. They just took away from me. And as I said, because I'm getting too many non-American. No, mind you, they don't tell you why. But I've Googled and researched, and people said if you're getting a lot of non-Americans, and I looked, and my recent videos, by the way, I noticed yesterday that I had like 40% Americans on some of my videos. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Like, I was actually excited. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Memphis. Thank you, Ray. I was excited because I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm actually getting a bigger foreign audience now for my TikTok videos I put up throughout the day. Oh, silly me. So anyway, but that's why I say this. So I set up a new tips feature, which I would appreciate if people would consider using. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Running. Basically, probably the best way you can donate and the cheapest way for me, but also for you, is on TikTok, go to my profile. You'll see the Linktree link. It's really obvious because I literally even have a give tips here and it points down at the link. Thank you, Marie. On YouTube, you can just use the aravosis.com link. It brings up Linktree. The very first thing there is the tips. I mean, you'll see it right on there. And the good part about this, thank you, Chazak. There's a couple good parts about this. I literally just set it up. Hang on, I'll show you. My account, and you literally see the red triangles pointing down, tip me via Linktree. I'll show you guys too. Oops. You guys are always difficult. It's always too bright. Let me see that. Well, I'll get to you in a second. But look for where it says tip me, red arrows pointing down to Linktree. You click Linktree, and it brings up a page. The very first thing, tips. Tip by credit card, PayPal, or Venmo. It's the first one. If you could see it, you could see it. The good part about this is you literally can pay by credit card, Venmo, or PayPal. Because I know a lot of the Europeans don't necessarily have PayPal. Some of you do. You guys may not have Venmo, but you do have credit cards. Callum tried it earlier today and was able to get it to work. Pay for what? My mortgage, my electricity, my food, pretty much my internet, everything that I need to live because this is my job and I do it full time. I'm asking folks to help pay me in the exact same way you get a salary. My salary is you guys. So that's what I'm asking for. I don't mind the gifts. Let me say too, I love the gifts. And by the way, Sophia and Malayosos, thank you. The thing I like about the gifts on TikTok and YouTube, I like that they're public and they're kind of fun. Just so you know, TikTok takes more than 50% of each gift. So I like it. Your gifts still add up on TikTok, to be honest, but they take 50%. On YouTube, they take 30%. If you give via PayPal, like the link I put up, they take 3%, only 3%. So, what do you do? Having said that, I do think there's a fun aspect, for example, to the TikTok gifts. Like, I don't know, you guys never see them on YouTube, but the gifts are really cool on TikTok. They're really fun. And I think it adds to the show with the TikTok gifts, which is kind of fun. Thank you, Christopher. It just makes it more fun. But PayPal, for any of the people you're giving to, PayPal at most takes 3%. Venmo takes nothing. Cash App takes nothing. Anyway, I'm going to sort of, over the next week, I'll be mentioning this as well. Thank you, Jimmy. Because as I said, the money hasn't been great lately, but this was ridiculous. I mean, bottom line is, it's been, over the last several months, it's been rare that I've broken even, meaning that I've made enough to pay my bills. Forget it now. I mean, this is ridiculous. In any case, it's just very annoying to me. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Jimmy. Anyway, I'll get to the news, but it just pisses me off because, it's hard when you build stuff up and you really bust your back. And whenever you deal with online stuff, they can just change it like that. I know. Yep. There's my, hey, Akanook. Oh, that's Alaska. I'm going to guess Alaska Nook. That's my Baleen from Alaska many years ago. Yep. There's not much of a story with the Baleen. I just used to work for Ted Stevens, who was the senator from Alaska, and got that many years ago from the natives, which was very nice, the native Alaskans. So, and I love it, my Baleen. It's a nice piece too. It's a nice, is it 11 feet maybe? It's a 10 or 11 feet. It's a really nice piece. Yeah, I love it. And I've got a beautiful Baleen, that's for another time, a beautiful Baleen basket that I bought too from a really nice native artist who's died now. But I got it back in 1990, really cool. In any case, so, the final point I'll say is subscriptions are nice too. Here, and the thing is, I guess I'm saying this sort of for everybody because I'm not the only creator going through this. I had talked to another big creator the other day, a Ukraine creator, and he was saying as well that he was seeing the ad money going down. I just hadn't seen it go down to zero yet. And, one thing that I think is useful too is if people have subscriptions, thank you, Pedro, and this counts for TikTok, it counts for YouTube, but really anywhere, Patreon. If people have a subscription option and it's somebody you really like, try to go and check it out. Try to see if you can, actually, Chazak, hit me up on that later. I'm kind of curious actually, because I still collect Alaska Native stuff. Try to help them out with memberships as well if you can, because one of the things that's really cool if you can do it is if you're a creator and you can get enough people to sign up monthly for monthly memberships, then you have a steady stream of income. But the other cool thing is you no longer have to beg. I hate this. I hate every night and every show I will thank you guys for the gifts. I like that. But I hate having to explain why I'm asking for gifts. I don't like asking for gifts, And I think I use Patreon, yes. Here's the problem with, thank you, everyone else. I've been doing internet stuff since 1995. So I am like an expert. I'm a scary expert on internet and business for this kind of stuff, like working on your own. Patreon is a problem as well. Thank you, Fred. I was getting not half, but maybe 40% of my income from Patreon. Then I got a threatening email from Patreon. They were going to cut me off because I was raising the money for Ukraine. And they didn't like the fact that on my Discord, one of the benefits from Patreon was you get access to my Discord community. I mean, everyone gets access anyway, but you would get VIP access to some of the auctions. They didn't like that we were using some of the auction proceeds from the beginning. My auctions on Patreon, half the money goes back to Ukraine. Half the money goes to support my work. Half the money goes, literally half of every auction we have done has gone back to Ukraine. Patreon didn't like the fact that some of that money we were giving to the military. They were buying drones and everything else. They threatened me and told me to cut the connection. So I had to turn off Patreon, my Patreon link to Discord. Patreon is still live. You can give on Patreon. The problem is, and this is why I don't even promote it. If you become a member on Patreon, I cannot give you VIP membership to my Discord. They won't let me. So I was like, you get it? Explaining this to people, well, you can sign up on YouTube and get my Discord, but if you're on Patreon, you can't get my Discord. I was like, oh my God, it's so freaking... I thought Patreon was cool too. They pretty much hate Ukraine. And they went after a bunch of Ukraine creators at the beginning. And then they went, and I heard about it, and then they went after me. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Discord is its own thing that's very fun. If you have no interest in Discord, then I would say Patreon works great. They piss me off because they're not very Ukraine friendly, but Patreon works, So anyway, all right, thank you, Musical. All right, Don't get mean, Kevin. I'm getting to the news, but we had a little money crisis today with TikTok cutting off a bunch of my money. So I needed to explain to people why I and other creators need their support. So we are getting rolling. Mods, don't go after Kevin. I appreciate he's annoyed, but just be nice, Kevin. All right, thank you, Addie. All right, let me get rolling here, guys. All right, today is day 734 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. There's actually leave Kevin alone. I mean, Kevin was being a bit rude, but, I'm just hoping Kevin was having a bad day. We'll leave Kevin alone. Thank you, Life. Thank you, Tim Jones. So, lot of news today. We can, during the Q&A, we can talk more about this. I don't want to get too much into the weeds right now, but we'll talk about this more during the, okay, that's good. We'll talk about it more after the show. So, let me just read you some of this. I hate when I do this. I sometimes grab pieces of news and then don't write down where they're from. This is Sky News. Good. Okay. Russia ramps up attacks in the Avdiivka sector, but Ukrainian forces have been holding their ground and even taking some land back. So basically, in the east, Russia's going crazy. Russia has been, I mentioned this yesterday, sending like walls of men at the Ukrainians pretty much to be mowed down. I mean, most of them are going to be killed, and the Russians don't care. This is what they do. Well, it's been effective at getting some land back. The Ukrainians were able to push back a little bit today, which is good, so that was good. But here's more from Sky News. Listen to this. An official in Ukraine has said Russia is currently accumulating large forces around Chasiv Yar in eastern Ukraine. Chasiv Yar is more or less right around here. So north of Donetsk, east of Kramatorsk, okay? More or less where my finger is. The Russians have amassed a large number of troops. They're seeking to make a breakthrough in the region. They want to head north. I was just saying Kramatorsk. One of the cities they're hoping to take is to move up here to Kramatorsk, right? Because they've got the east, but they don't have all the east, and they're trying to take more of it. Well, eventually they'd love to take the whole country, but they're trying to... the provinces in the east... remember how Russia has basically annexed a big section of Ukraine in the east, where now they're claiming, this is all Russia now, right? It's all Russian territory. There's actually pockets that Russia still doesn't control, and they want to control all of it. And as you can imagine, it makes it very difficult for Russia to claim that these are new provinces of Russia when Russia doesn't control all the provinces, right? So in any case, they're looking to move on to Kramatorsk and several other regions. Ukrainian forces battling Russian efforts to advance in the Bakhmut direction say they've been experiencing a large Russian push over the last 3 weeks and are facing constant attacks as Moscow troops send in wave after wave. We know this. There's really no news, but it's, Russia's moving ahead a little bit. Ukraine pushed back a little bit, but Russia is still doing massive attacks with large numbers of men, almost suicide attacks in a way, but they can be very effective if you don't mind the fact that you're killing a lot of your own men, which Russia does not. Wall Street Journal just put up a story that was very interesting. I actually grabbed several paragraphs for you. Thank you, Allison. I subscribed to the Wall Street Journal, and it appears that a draft document leaked that appears to be the draft that, thank you, Joseph, that Ukraine and the Russians were negotiating. Remember at the beginning of the war? Oh, Sasha's, my dog is awake. Oh, this cracks me up. My dog is awake and already looking for the neighbor. Okay, she's going down now. She was on the couch looking at the neighbor out the window. She hates my neighbor. It's very funny. So remember the beginning of the war, Russia and Ukraine were having peace negotiations. Well, the Wall Street Journal got a copy of the draft peace negotiations that were taking place in April 2022. These were right before, thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Savannah. Oh, thank you, Savannah. Savannah just subscribed. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. These negotiations were right before Ukraine found out about the horrific war crimes. Remember Bucha, which was around March 31st or so about 6 weeks into the war, 5 or 6 weeks. Russia basically gets pushed out in the north. Russia invades. Russia comes down. Russia gets very close to Kyiv, right? And eventually the Ukrainians, within about a month, pushed Russia back, which was great. Well, one of the areas the Russians were in was Bucha. I want to say Bucha might be around here. It's kind of west, I think northwest of Kyiv. one of the suburbs of Kyiv, and that was the first town that we saw just proof of horrific Russian war crimes. This was the town where, I mean, imagine like a village, basically, where on the main street, there were 20 dead people on the main street. Thank you, Kilo. Citizens. Old man riding his bicycle, I think, was like the most famous one, because that's the one that creeped me out. Just like an old guy wearing his little hat, riding the bicycle, shot him dead. Lying sideways, dead. I mean, horrific. Bucha absolutely destroyed any chance of peace negotiations. That was when Ukraine was like, oh my God. I mean, right, it totally destroyed the peace talks. Well, Wall Street Journal got their hands on the peace talks and the documents that reportedly Ukraine and Russia had agreed and things they didn't agree on. Thank you, Sherry. I just want to read it because it's very interesting. I'm not really sure what conclusion to reach from this. But I think it's very interesting to see what they were discussing, what Russia wanted, and what Ukraine looked like they may have been agreeing to. Thank you, Makab. So let me read this to you. A draft peace treaty drawn up by Russian, this is from the Wall Street Journal, drawn up by Russian and Ukrainian negotiators in April 2022 about Boris Johnson did not kill it. Nope, he didn't. Bucha killed it. Well, it was actually found, there was a kind of a rumor, I think it's a Russian rumor, that the British Prime Minister killed the peace deal. No, he didn't. The Ukrainians found out about Bucha and the world saw what happened, that the Russians just massacred everybody, and that was the end of the peace negotiations. Thank you, Sophia. I appreciate that. I don't always notice things coming in on my phone, but that was very nice of you. Sorry, I'm laughing because that has to be the most hilarious and ridiculous Russian troll comment we've ever gotten. When I say troll, I mean basically people who are sent here by Russia, and you can tell they're sent. I mean, there's just a way you can tell. The guy, thank you, Memphis. The guy comes and writes, NATO is GAY. And I guess he wrote GAY because they thought gay might be banned. Like, I'm not sure why we would ban the word gay. But NATO is GAY. NATO's gay. I mean, like, what are you, 11-year-old Russian or something? NATO's gay. I'm sorry. Okay, the dog wants water. I'm giving the dog water. That just made me laugh. Hold on. All right, Sasha, you get some water. You get some water. Okay. Poor timing. That's the kind of dog daddy I am. All right, I'm back. NATO's gay. I mean, it's literally the kind of thing like somebody who's 10 or 11 years. Yeah, NATO smells. Sal just wrote NATO smells. It's the kind of thing a 10-year-old would say to be mean. Thank you, Jetta. NATO's so gay. Oh yeah, exactly for our timeout for our co-star. Our co-star, Sasha. Oh my God. I told you, Sasha, I used to say she was Russian, and now I say she's Ukrainian. In any case, all right, so let me read this. So this is the peace agreement that Russia and Ukraine were working on when the world found out about the Bucha massacre and how Russia had just slaughtered, I mean, a horrific number of citizens, of Ukrainian citizens in the town of Bucha. And as a result, the peace deal was off. Let me also do a quick thank you to Raymond and Carolyn as well. I just saw the PayPal from you guys too. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Okay, so let me read more of this. The document dated April 15th, 2022, this is the peace agreement Ukraine and Russia were working on, sketches out how negotiators on both sides sought to end the fighting by agreeing to turn Ukraine into a permanently neutral state that doesn't participate in military blocs. It would bar the country from rebuilding its military with Western support, and it would leave Crimea under de facto Russian control. The draft treaty states that Ukraine, while being allowed to pursue European Union membership, wouldn't be allowed to join military alliances such as NATO. No foreign weapons would be allowed on Ukrainian soil. Ukraine's military would be pared down to a specific size. I read later in the article, the Russians wanted to pare Ukraine's military down to 85,000 people. That's it. 85,000, which is insane. Russia sought to limit everything from the number of troops, the number of tanks, to the maximum firing range of Ukrainian missiles. So they literally had I think it said 300 tanks or something they were going to allow the Ukrainians to have, but they also were going to limit in the treaty how far Ukrainian missiles could even go. Okay? The Crimean Peninsula, already occupied by Russia, would remain under Moscow's influence and not be considered neutral. Moscow also pushed for the Russian language to operate on an equal basis with Ukrainian in government and courts. I mean, like, okay, Ukraine is a nation where both languages are spoken, but, you know, Ukrainian is like the official language. The country's called Ukraine. Russia wanted to mandate that the Russian language be used equally everywhere. Again, this is where you get into the imperialistic stuff. A clause Ukraine hadn't signed off on according to the draft document. Just so folks know, I'm walking you through a Wall Street Journal story talking about details of the peace treaty that Ukraine and Russia were negotiating back in April of 2022 when, this is after the invasion, when the world found out about the Bucha massacre and the horrific massacre of civilians that Russia had done. Thank you, Big John. And as a result, it destroyed the peace treaty. The future of the area of eastern Ukraine, covertly invaded and occupied by Russia in 2014, was not included in the draft, leaving it up to Putin and Zelensky to complete in face-to-face meetings. The treaty was to be guaranteed by foreign powers, which are listed in the document as including the US, the UK, China, France, and Russia. Those countries would be given the responsibility to defend Ukraine's neutrality if the treaty were violated. Yeah, right. But while the treaty held, guarantors would be required to. Oh, listen to this. But while the treaty was in place, the guarantors, so U.S., France, Britain, and China, would be required to terminate international treaties and agreements incompatible with the permanent neutrality of Ukraine, including any promises of bilateral military aid. So China was fine having treaties with Russia giving them military aid, but nobody in the West could give Ukraine military aid, according to the agreement, of course. The international security guarantees would not apply to Crimea and Sevastopol, so Russia's occupation of Crimea would be totally exempt, of course, big surprise. Since its initial invasion of eastern Ukraine and annexation of Crimea, Russia has violated more than 400 international treaties and conventions, according to the British think tank Chatham House. So there you go. The biggest problem with this peace treaty is that Russia lies and Russia breaks every treaty. Russia would have invaded in 5 to 10 years max, no matter what. The whole point of this treaty is frankly the same thing Russia wants now. What this treaty would have done, it would have frozen everything in place. It would have pretty much left Russia where they were in Ukraine, right? Pretty much. It would have let Russia continue to hold Crimea. It would have forbidden Ukraine from joining NATO. It would forbid Ukraine from even buying NATO troops, or buying NATO weapons. In any case, it's a big story. It just came out. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Running. I suspect we'll be hearing about it more. Kyiv Post reports that drones operated by the main intelligence directorate of Ukraine conducted an attack in the Belgorod region of Russia, damaging a Panzer S-1 surface-to-air missile system. That's good. That's a system Russia uses to basically go after aircraft, so that was nice. Navalny's funeral. So Navalny's funeral is today. Navalny, as you know, is the top opposition leader. Well, he was the top opposition leader, in Russia. Thank you, Laurie. Putin had him killed 2 weeks ago. Pretty much everyone has concluded. Putin tried to have him killed, or I should say Putin tried to kill him 4 years ago using a Soviet nerve agent called Novichok. And then, thank you, Adventures. Thank you, Jimmy. Had Navalny thrown in prison for being literally the political opposition. They threw him in prison for a number of years. They then, thank you, Tom, charged him with even more crimes. Thank you, Adventures. If I didn't see it, I don't remember if I did, Jimmy. Charged him with even more crimes while he was in prison. And you're like, how is he, terrorism was one of them, I think. Like, how is he committing terrorism when he's in prison? I don't quite get it. I just don't quite get it. In any case, so Putin sentenced him to another 20 years in prison, and then Navalny, at the age like 46 or 47, thank you, Tarad, mysteriously dies 2 weeks ago. Putin had him killed. I mean, it's obvious Putin had him killed. The funeral was today. There were 45 arrests, at least 45 arrests in Russia. Thousands of people turned out, which was a good thing. The video and the pictures are pretty wild of people all over Russia turning out, which is great. The let me see here. 250,000 people watched the funeral on YouTube. There were arrests in Moscow and Siberia. Another 10 were detained while laying flowers in Yekaterinburg. Now, mind you, people were laying flowers, guys. They went and they laid flowers at a monument, and the Russians arrested them for it. Thank you, Janice. Russia is a dictatorship. And I always keep reminding you guys, and I always like to sort of give you these examples of things that, say what you will about criticizing my country or Europe or wherever else, this is the kind of crap we don't do. You don't arrest people for laying flowers down, because somebody died. Like, that is not a crime. It's just not a crime. There was a, let me see here. Oh yeah, so Navalny's allies called on people who wanted to honor his memory but who could not attend his funerals to instead go to memorials to Soviet-era repression in their own towns tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Moscow time. So basically, I'm surprised they still exist. There are memorials across Russia to Soviet-era repression, to basically all the horrific things the Soviet dictatorship did that Putin was a part of. And they've told people to go to those monuments and leave flowers and things in Navalny's honor tonight at 7 o'clock, which would have been several hours ago in Moscow. There was finally a quote that Visegrad 24, Ukrainian publication, quoted a Russian woman at one of the funerals, and she was comparing Putin and Navalny. And she said, one sacrificed himself to save the country. The other sacrificed the country to save himself. It's a good quote. Another wild story that's out there. Actually, one thing too. Let me hit you guys up for gifts again. Just remember, I had said at the beginning of the show, I don't want to go through the whole thing again now, but TikTok yanked my funding on my videos because apparently I'm getting too many foreigners seeing my videos and they don't like that. It's not worth the money. So they zeroed out my videos on TikTok to $0. Like, I was getting a couple $1,000s a month, zero. So that's why I hit you guys and ask you for gifts. If you can give the gifts, I would really appreciate it. The gifts on TikTok, the gifts on YouTube, monthly membership, even better. You can subscribe on TikTok. You can subscribe on YouTube. Or if you want, just go to my profile on TikTok, look for the Linktree link, click it, and you'll see a way you can donate for tips, and you can give credit card, PayPal, or Venmo. So any of that works. For you guys, use aravosis.com for the same link. So thank you for that. All right, let me keep going here. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Christopher. And who else? Sunshine, KZ. Actually, Sunshine, you've been doing multiple gifts. Thank you for that. Anyway, all right, let me keep going. Another weird story out today. Macron versus Schultz. This is not a good story. This is not a good story at all. Thank you, Badolski. Thank you, Sunshine. It is about basically the relationship falling apart between the German leader and the French leader. Who is that? Thank you, J.A. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Fred. You know how earlier this week, Macron had said that NATO was discussing whether to send troops to Ukraine and that they hadn't reached a consensus, right? And I said at the time, that means clearly some countries did want to send troops to Ukraine, not necessarily to fight, but to at least, I was suspecting probably use them as a tripwire. Basically putting troops, say, in Western Ukraine, putting troops in Kyiv eventually so that the Russians can't bomb Kyiv and they can't invade. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate that. Sorry, Nathan and Frank, and I get a couple more of you guys. Locke for the roses. KZ. I think I got most of you. I hate when I miss the gifts from you guys, so thank you. So Macron comes out and says this, that NATO was discussing sending troops and that it was still on the table. His people came out later and said that was on purpose. He wanted to leave things vague to basically scare Putin. He wanted Putin to know that basically there are more things that NATO can do, and one of them is sending troops. Well, everybody freaked out. The Americans, the Germans, everybody freaked out and said, "Oh, we're not doing that. We're not doing that." So they all freaked out. Well, apparently this led to an even bigger rift. I didn't know there really was one. Thank you, Jay. A bigger rift between Macron and Scholz of Germany. Let me read you this. This was some of the, I'm trying to, again, see, I hate this. I didn't write it down. Macron, let me read this. Macron's hints earlier this week about deploying troops in Ukraine were deliberately ambiguous, according to French officials, and intended to create uncertainty in the minds of Russian military planners. But the French president, whatever it takes message, went against the express wishes of Scholz's office. Hang on, let me pull this up because I want to see where I got this. I hate this. I told you, sometimes I want to read you a story, and I write it down, and then I forget to write hints earlier this week. Here we go. Bloomberg. There we go. Okay. This was from Bloomberg News. Okay, from Bloomberg. Thank you. Just wanted to read you a couple paragraphs from Bloomberg. The French president's whatever it takes message went against the express wishes of German Chancellor Scholz's office. Sure enough, Scholz was quick to publicly contradict Macron's position once it made headlines. The German Chancellor categorically ruled out the possibility that European nations would send troops. The disagreement highlights the two leaders' long-standing difficulties in working together. Their different styles, but also how these tensions are spilling over to jeopardize the course of a conflict that most recently has been edging in Russia's favor. Listen to this. Macron, the French leader, sees Scholz, the German leader, as a leader without courage and ambition who cannot think beyond the short term, according to one French official. I mean, this is nasty. The person who spoke on condition of anonymity pointed to a lack of chemistry between the pair from day one. In Berlin, Macron, the French leader, is seen as a monarchical figure who is better at issuing grand visions than delivering. According to the Kiel Institute, military commitments, thank you, Tony, military commitments between January 2022 and January 2024 to Ukraine, so basically for the duration of the war, the last 2 years, Germany's military commitments to Ukraine have been 17.7 billion euros or $19 billion. Thank you, Norway Fox. France's contribution has been 0.64 billion euros, which would be maybe $800 million. So you're talking $800 million from the French versus 19 billion with a B dollars from the Germans. Now, the French disagree with the figure and say they've provided 3.8 billion euros. Nonetheless, thank you, adventurers, that would still be 3.8 billion French euros to 17.7 billion German. I will say this. I get annoyed at the Germans. I get annoyed at the French too. I get annoyed at the Germans. But the Germans have provided a lot of weapons. The Germans have been, in fact, the #1 provider of military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. in terms of gross amount of money given, the overall amount. When you look at it based on the size of their economy, it's actually been Estonia and then Poland and the Baltic states and those guys, right? But when you look at it at total numbers, Germany is second to America, and it's been really good. The French have given nothing compared to the Germans. Very funny. Mark mentions the helmet debacle. At the very beginning, I think the Germans promised like 5,000 helmets or something ridiculous. Macron actually mentioned the helmets this week and said something about, well, at the beginning, some people gave just helmets. And it was like, oh my God. This is not helpful. Having this kind of bickering between allies is not good. The Russians love it, right? It makes it harder for everybody to work together. In fact, the Germans have given a lot of weapons. Frankly, the Germans have given a hell of a lot more than the French have. I am glad, let me put it this way. I am glad to see that Macron is feeling the need to pressure Europe to give more. That's great, right? But, the Germans, the Germans are like Biden on this. They've done a lot, but not enough. The Germans are afraid. I say the Germans, I mean the German government, whatever. Obviously, I'm talking about the government. Thank you, adventurers. The German government is afraid of Putin. The American government is afraid of Putin. Both governments really don't want Putin to win. Both governments really are afraid of Ukraine winning and Putin getting mad. Scholz today, do I have it? I'm going to see. I should have it right here. Let me see. Yes, so Scholz today, listen to this. He told voters, actually, this was yesterday, I think. So German Chancellor Scholz yesterday told voters that he feared Ukraine would use the Taurus missiles to strike Moscow. One of the things we've been pissed at Germany for, first of all, Germany held off forever on giving tanks, or even better, approving its tanks going to Ukraine, even its tanks its Leopard 2 tanks that other European countries had that they'd bought from Germany. Germany has to approve them going to a third country. Germany waited forever. America also waited forever. So that's why I put us both in the same category. Well, the latest weapon system that a lot of experts think that the Germans need to give Ukraine is the Taurus cruise missile. Okay? Now, the Taurus cruise missile, just making sure. So TikTok, are you still connected here? I want to see if I was hoping Glenn's the one that's not connected. Okay, good. Everybody else is connected? Good. Just making sure on TikTok. Okay, good. Thanks, Ash. So Taurus cruise missile, very important cruise missile, even better than the French and German missiles in some ways that have been provided. Germany has been saying no. Up until now, the Germans have, well, honestly, it reminds me like the Biden administration not giving weapons. Biden likes to come up with lots of different, and well, he does it through staff. They always give different reasons as to why they can't give stuff, right? And the Germans are now doing it. First, the Germans claimed, like just a couple days ago, oh, if we gave the Ukrainians these weapons, they would have to use German troops to actually input the data to pick the targets. So we would need German troops on the ground in Ukraine that would literally be programming, who gets killed in Russia or whatever, and the Germans would be blamed. A lot of people were like, that doesn't sound quite right. It just didn't sound quite believable. Yesterday, German Chancellor Scholz claims that's not the reason. The reason is he doesn't trust Ukraine, and he thinks Ukraine will use his missiles to attack Moscow. First of all, Ukraine has done nothing to suggest that it would do anything of the sort. Ukraine has been anything but trustworthy on this entire sort of issue. Thank you, your mom, for the rose. Has been totally trustworthy. Ukraine has not used their weapons in a way that contravenes any of the promises it made to NATO. Second of all, the Iranians and the North Koreans don't seem to have any problem giving Russia weapons it can use to hit Ukraine. Why are we so worried about Ukraine having weapons it can use to hit the Russians? I just don't get this. Nonetheless, the Germans are still playing games, which pisses me off. And again, they've given a lot of weapons, so I'm not going to knock it, but they're just like Biden. They're afraid of giving the Ukrainians too much, and the Ukrainians actually winning this. And honestly, I think Scholz is lying. I think he's not afraid of hitting Moscow. Oh, all right, one more time. Oh my God. The dog is. I'm giving the dog more water. My dog has sort of a little drinking problem issue. Thank you, Agnieszka. One sec. You are driving me bonkers. You know that? Showing off for everybody? Uh-huh. What a little prima donna you are. Yes. It's a long story about the dog, but if I give the dog a ton of water, a cup of water, she'll drink the entire thing. And then, then I get to take my dog out every 2 seconds. Yeah, but then she'll literally drink a cup or two of water, and she's only 10 pounds. So then it's a mess. Then it's a mess. You don't even want to know. So anyway, yeah, this is a mess with the German thing. It's a mess. No, she's 14. She's been going to the vet forever. She just, that's ever since she was a puppy. That's what she does for whatever reason. So yeah. Anyway, let's do a little more news here. Good Canadians. Ottawa is ready to send a limited number of military personnel to Ukraine, but only to train Ukrainian soldiers and not to participate in hostilities, according to the Canadian Defense Minister. Still, that's very cool. President Zelensky and Dutch Premier Rutte signed a 10-year agreement on security and cooperation between Ukraine and the Netherlands in Kharkiv today. Rutte also said the Netherlands would help fund the Czech initiative to buy 800,000 artillery shells for Ukraine. The Dutch are going to donate $162 million or 150 million euros. The initiative so far has 250 million euros. The only thing is, and I don't know if anybody knows, I have not seen an estimate of how much money is needed. How much money do the Czechs need overall to buy all 800,000? So the fact that they've got 250 million euros, which, $275 million maybe, I don't know what that means in terms of how far along we are. If anybody knows, just saying. Sonia, thank you, or Sophia, I'm sorry, thank you so much for the subscription. Appreciate that. Oh, and Agnieszka, that's what. Thank you, Agnieszka. I didn't realize you were subscribing. I saw your name and thought it was a gift. Thank you, Agnieszka. I appreciate that. I always like your name. It's such a cool name, Agnieszka. In any case, yeah, I haven't seen the amount. I'm very curious as to what the total is that they're talking about. Thank you, Roger, for the gift. A little bit more here. Oh, last story. This is part of my ongoing series called Russia is a Dictatorship. A Jehovah's Witness has been jailed for 8 years in Russia after he held a worship service meeting via teleconference. Thank you, Roger, for the hat. The court in southwestern Russia found that he was guilty of organizing, quote, extremist activities. He was filmed secretly by a mole. Mind you, the Russian police have moles going in to film like secret Zoom church services by Jehovah's Witnesses. It's like, really? The Russian Supreme Court designated Jehovah's Witnesses extremists in 2017. Now, final point here, what is important about that is the Russians put themselves out there as the uber Christians. They're more Christian than any of us. And they love to attack the West. And this is frankly why, unfortunately, Republicans in Congress have, many of them have gotten very pro-Putin because they think Putin's like the big Christian. Traditional values, he hates the gays, he hates the trans, he's for marriage, this kind of crap, right? And in fact, the Russians themselves are not very religious. They go to church a lot less than the Ukrainians and a hell of a lot less than the Americans. The Americans are so much more religious than Europeans or Russians. I mean, like by far. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but they are. The Russians are far less religious than the Ukrainians. The Russians also do really creepy things. Like they put their leaders on icons. They make icons, but like church icons. They're Orthodox ones, which are, not a figure, but a picture, right? A painting of Jesus or something. And they do them of their leaders, like of Putin. They did them of Prigozhin. When Putin murdered Prigozhin, there was a Prigozhin one. They do really weird stuff. And one of the things the Russians do is they routinely discriminate against other religions. In Ukraine, I did a story on this I reported a story on this maybe 2 months ago. The Russians are discriminating against everybody, including Catholics. In the occupied Ukrainian territories that Russia's occupying, they're discriminating against even Catholics. I mean, these are not good people, and they're not good Christians I'm not Catholic, but I couldn't care less if you're Catholic. You know what I mean? And I don't really care if you're a Jehovah's. I think Jehovah's Witnesses are a little weird, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, who cares, right? It's a free country. I mean, except that in Russia, it's not a free country. So that's the problem. Anyway, all right, guys, let's do our Q&A and talk and everything else. As I said at the beginning of the show, I'm kind of going to be hitting you up more for gifts and donations and subscriptions because TikTok basically cut off all my money for my videos, which like to the tune of about $2,000 a month that they just removed, I found out. Because it's a long story, but thank you, Hedge. TikTok won't tell you anything, but it appears I'm getting too much traffic on my videos that I post on TikTok from foreigners, and you're not worth the money. Americans are worth more to advertisers than you all, so they literally cut my income to zero. It was insane, and it cost me a good couple $1,000s a month. So because I'm doing this full time, and I'm literally doing this full time, and that was a big chunk of my income, and the gifts with you guys, you can't appeal. There's nowhere to appeal. It's like appealing to Google, for Google ads. There's literally no one to appeal to. Thank you, Frank. I mean, I appreciate you offering or suggesting it, but you can't appeal their algorithm that figures out what the ad prices are. It's literally an ad price thing. They just lowered the ad prices to zero. And I was like, okay. Now you could have a lawsuit. Yes. What you would need is you'd need a class action lawsuit. I mean, those kind of things are class action lawsuits. Yeah. But it's pretty outrageous. In any case, again, I'm not interested in suing TikTok at this point, but your guys' donations do help, whether it's the gifts. Certainly the memberships, I would say, help even more. If you like my show and you've been watching for a while, maybe consider signing up for a TikTok membership. TikTok does take half the money, I have to say, so I'm less likely to like a TikTok membership. YouTube takes 30%, which is better. Thank you, Tarad. You can also, frankly, just go to my profile. Thank you, Mark. Go to my profile on TikTok, find the Linktree link. You'll see it. It points right to it. It says tips. Click it, and the first thing that comes up is how to give a tip. And you can use either your credit card, PayPal, or Venmo. So there's lots of ways of doing it too. For you guys, it's the aravosis.com list. But also the memberships help too. Oh, you know what? One more thing I was going to mention to guys. Thank you, Nathan. One thing I am going to do is I increased for next month, I increased the price of the TikTok subscription by $1 as a result of this, because TikTok subscriptions, forget that TikTok takes 50%, which is insane. They also, the price is less than the subscription elsewhere. The subscriptions on YouTube are $7.99 for the first level. On TikTok, they're $5.99 because TikTok didn't give me a choice. TikTok originally only had one price. So that was the price. But you guys are actually paying $2 less than everybody else. On Discord, it's $7.99. So I upped it $1 because I felt bad upping it $2 on you all. But it is going up $1. The final point, though, is each of you, and frankly, this is a good thing. It may mean I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers, but thank you, Christine. TikTok will send you a notice before they charge you, and you have to accept the price increase or your subscription will cancel, which honestly is a good thing because they don't want people, upping the price and then you don't know, and all of a sudden you're paying more and more and people are cheating you. So just be aware. Be aware. Anyway, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. So yes, thank you, Christine, for the fireworks. Oh la la. I was streaming on Twitch, but it was becoming too difficult. And I was doing Twitch. I can't streaming to multiple services at once, very difficult. The quality wasn't good enough. So now I'm streaming to YouTube and TikTok because I was able to get better quality. TikTok is unique anyway with my iPad, but on YouTube, the other problem was Twitch requires I'm like an expert on this. I could do consulting on this. Twitch requires a unique show. You're not allowed to stream the same show to Twitch. So I was doing a unique Twitch show every Saturday just for Twitch. The problem was it wasn't enough people. So I was making $25 or $50 and it just wasn't worth preparing a whole show and doing a show for an hour and a half. And it was like bringing in $25. You can on Twitch now? Are you sure, Jedi? Because before you definitely were not allowed to. So I literally for a while was doing my own Twitch show, which I love the Twitch people though. We had a great crowd. Actually, I'm forgetting what his name was. That wonderful guy. There was a wonderful guy that was kind of taking the lead, who was this wonderful Dutch guy, upper 40s, came down with lung cancer and died. But within a couple months. And he was I'm forgetting his name now because they were all the pseudonyms, but wonderful, really nice guy. He was a Twitch guy. He was like the number one person helping me with Twitch. Some of you were helping too, but he was the number one person helping me with Twitch. What I don't mind doing actually, and maybe somebody offline at some point, if anybody has some advice of how I can stream the show to multiple sites beyond YouTube, because YouTube and TikTok are the two big ones. That's why I stuck with you guys. Previously, you know who I mean, Mandy. He was wonderful. I forget his pen name, but he was a wonderful guy. When I was using an outside service, StreamYard, I was using StreamYard, I think, to stream to YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else. The quality was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I had to switch to a different camera that I don't love, but a different camera and OBS. And now at least on YouTube, you guys might have noticed. See, and never say I never do anything for you at YouTube, because the YouTubers sometimes feel like I favor TikTok. I had to cancel everybody else except YouTube. So I'm no longer streaming to Facebook, to Twitch, to anybody, because when it was ruining the quality. So now at least the YouTube quality is better, but honestly, it's still not as good as it should be. I've heard of Restream or whatever. I can look again and see if I can figure it out. Because as I said, the biggest problem is that everybody claims 1080p, and I learned that 1080p depends on who. my one camera versus my computer camera. My external camera is better than my computer camera. Both are 1080p. Streamlabs is 1080p. Horrible quality. OBS is 1080p. Much better quality on YouTube. So like it's this crazy. But in any case, so a text-to-speech donation. I don't even know what that is. Cool. Hey Vitas, thank you for sharing. In any case. So yes, I need to figure out if I'm happy to stream to Twitch again. If there's ways of doing it, if somebody's sort of smart enough to figure it out, I would appreciate it. Brave Cobra, you're right. That was it. Brave Cobra. What a nice guy. Yeah, that was his name. Poor guy. Yeah, Brave Cobra was the Twitcher who was helping us all. 48 years old or so, got stage 4 lung cancer. And I think he didn't even smoke. Imagine at 48. Oh, horrible. Jason, I'm game. If you could show me. Basically, what I'm trying to, he was so nice too. What I'm trying to find was, he was one of our moderators too, and he wrote this really nice goodbye note. It was just incredibly sad. But what I'm trying to find is if there's a way of streaming again to multiple services that won't degrade the signal, and that is a good signal, because even my YouTube now, it's better than it was. It still doesn't look like a high quality YouTube video, but I don't know whether anybody streaming live to YouTube is able to have it be high quality. Thank you, Ian, by the way, for the heart. Yeah, I mean, lung cancer. I don't want to get all Debbie Downer with you guys, but it was really sad. I mean, out of nowhere, stage 4 lung cancer, 48 years old, never smoked. And they told him if he got chemo, he had a year to live. If he didn't get chemo, he had a few months. He tried the chemo, it was killing him, and he turned it off and he did euthanasia, which is allowed in Holland. He did euthanasia, said goodbye to his friends, and that was it. Yeah. Anyway, this is a horrible story, but he was a very sweet guy, very sweet guy. Tyler, what were you saying about graphics card and stuff? Now, I will say my laptop is 5 years old, so we are getting into that territory. Although typically when I buy a laptop, I buy a good, I use Apple. I buy a good quality one. See if Norbert, thanks for joining us. In any case, you know what I might do too? Maybe I'll, anyway, either reach out to me privately if folks have suggestions, on how to sort of, maybe I can multi-stream again with better quality. But also, I want to just do better quality on YouTube anyway, because the quality is okay. It's not great. Well, my internet is good, supposedly, and my internet quality just got upped. I've now got like 70 megabits or whatever, Mbps per second upload, which is pretty damn good. TikTok is always good, though. TikTok quality, I'll give TikTok credit. TikTok figured out however to do the quality streaming, like I use my iPad, it's always very good quality. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's also weird that TikTok can do it, but YouTube can't. My computer, I'd have to look. It's probably at this point 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro. I'd have to look it up. But I'm not 100% convinced it's the computer, but maybe it is. Oh, a tower. I mean, would it stream that much faster though? I hate to buy all that stuff, Only because it's more stuff. Actually, hold on. I'll tell you really quick. 1 second. My computer is 15. It's a 2018 15-inch MacBook Pro. Processor is 2.6 gig, 6-core Intel Core i7. Graphics cards, a Radeon Pro 560X, 4 gigabyte. 16 gigs of DDR RAM because they're idiots, But I've got my upload speed 70. It should be good, Thank you, Yuki. Appreciate that. Yeah, we can. I know the expenses aren't the issue. Yeah, I do write off expenses. Are you kidding me? I mean, thank you for the advice, but I very much do, Elizabeth. Yeah. That's what I mean. The question, I think. Thank you, Carla. Thank you. Yay! Carla just joined us as a YouTube subscriber. Thank you, Carla. Now. Oh, I should mention, new YouTube subscribers, make sure you, if you want to join us, that you go to Discord, go to my Discord community, discord.aravosis.com, create an account or whatever. It's free to join, so to speak. and then you go to your settings and you link your YouTube to Discord. Like you sign into YouTube via Discord, and it'll know you're linked, and you'll be able to do the Saturday show. In any case, yeah, no, I have been playing with everything on this. It's very annoying. I can try Streamlabs. I didn't use. I did StreamYard, which I do not like. It's too simple and the quality was bad. Streamlabs was interesting because I think I remember trying Streamlabs, and what I don't remember is, sorry guys, we're gonna have like our geeky tech show tonight. I don't remember, but I remember whether it was Streamlabs or OBS. But one of them, a syndicate was helping me. We set up multiple streams, but the problem was it treated each stream independently so that each one was an equal amount of bandwidth. So like it was sending this much bandwidth to YouTube and this much bandwidth to Twitch, and it was like too much was the concern. So that was the concern with that. Hey Ryan, you know, and I am not a tech idiot, but I'm not 100% geek anyway. I always say I'm like quasi geek. So like I'm comfortable with RAM and all that kind of stuff. I'm comfortable with, I used to code my own websites, but that was simple HTML. Well, simple. I say simple. It wasn't, I could never code HTML now. Probably too complicated. But yeah, that's what, Sasha, I know. Now she's at, see, now we're at the part of the show where she's at the door begging to go play with the neighbor's dog in the hall. You only need 24 Mbps. Yeah, I'll look right now. I guarantee you I've probably got 70 upload. Hey, let me just check for fun. Speed test. All right. But I will give Comcast is too expensive, but I'll give them credit on the speed. They upgraded my speed recently, and it's very good. I mean, my download's great. My download is 475. Big surprise there. But the upload, I'll bet you it's 70 or more. Hang on. It should be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if my streaming live affects this, but it's 65 right now. So 65 upload. But I will tell you, I was very surprised though, because I was doing all sorts of tests, and literally my Logitech camera versus my Apple laptop camera versus StreamYard versus going straight on YouTube versus OBS. By the way, streaming straight to YouTube using YouTube, I was doing it with YouTube. It was lesser quality. When I literally logged into my YouTube account and said stream, the quality was less than going into OBS and streaming. I mean, it was this kind of crazy stuff that was driving me nuts. Imagine like on YouTube, it's lesser quality if you go to YouTube directly. I mean, it's crazy stuff. Oh, hey, Agnes. I used to support John through Patreon. Now I switched to YouTube. Which one is more lucrative? Patreon. Patreon, to be honest. The only problem is Patreon is going to kind of screw you, because if you like to join us on the weekend show, you can't do it with Patreon. If you don't join me on the weekend show, then it doesn't matter. But Patreon takes maybe 15%, YouTube takes 30%, and TikTok takes 50%, sadly. I love the flowers. Thank you for those, Eddie. I told you they remind me of the Ukrainian spring flowers. And thank you, Mike, for the heart. Hope for my future career. I don't know, guys. It's tough. I am not young. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I like to do this, so I'd like to just keep doing this, this kind of stuff, like news online, I enjoy it. It's fun. I've worked with the internet since 1995. So I've always liked doing this kind of stuff, future, I'd honestly love to just keep doing like a news show, because I enjoy that. Like, I like talking to people, and meaning I like talking with people. It's fun. Like the back and forth, even though I can't hear you guys, which would be nice if I could hear you, it's still fun to be able to see the comments and people from all over the world. And thank you, Frank. People from oh, that's one of those postcard things. Thank you. I like those because they're different each time. That was London. Thank you. Thank you, Ash. But it's fun. It's fun to create the community, Try multi-guest. I have Vlad on a lot. I've invited some other, I have a hard time getting people to come to TikTok as guests. It's too bad, but a lot of the political people in Washington are creeped out about coming to TikTok. TikTok also makes it hard because you need, hundreds, if not 1,000 followers before you can come on as a guest, which is just stupid. I mean, again, remember my lecture I give about young engineers. Some young engineer designed that. You should want everyone to come as a guest on TikTok so that you get them hooked on TikTok. I do not use a VPN. No, I have a VPN if I need to, but I don't use one. No, because that potentially would screw up more things. In any case, so it's multiple things. One, I would love to increase the quality of my stream on YouTube. B, I would love to be able to stream again to Twitch and other services because I feel bad not streaming to Twitch. C, it'd be great if Twitch lets me simulcast now because Twitch did not let me simulcast before. So it'd be nice if they allow you to do that. And I'm trying to think what else was the... And honestly, if people have other suggestions for how to monetize the show, I'm not going to do an OnlyFans. I forgot who. Somebody kept bringing that up, and I was like, not going there. Thank you. So, let me look. I was going to look because I know a couple more things came in on PayPal. Thank you, Laurel. Thank you, Jill. Sophia, Raymond, and Carolyn. I think I had gotten you guys earlier. Yep. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Only dads. There you go. That's actually very funny. That's very funny. I like that. Pics of my microphone. What does that mean? What should I do? A NFT of my microphone? You're Ukrainian. Oh, hey, Dennis. Oh God. I mean, YouTube I get more of the money. I would say so. Any of your creators, it's always nicer to do it on YouTube because they'll get 70% versus 50% on TikTok. So, not a bad sort of thing there to do. My goat is Greek. No, my goat is from Amazon. The goat is a funny story. The goat, I saw Nia Vardalos once, who's the Greek Canadian actress who created My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and she starred in it. Everybody knows. And, I'm Greek. And on Twitter once, or on Instagram or something, she put a video of the goat, and I thought it was so funny. And being Greek, we love goats. So katsiki, or I forget the other word for goat. Or is katsiki what we call it when we eat it? I'm trying to remember. There's another word for, because like pig, there's the word, what is it? Is it girino for pork? But then a pig is called a guruni, I think. But in any case, the goat. I will say goat is actually a really good food, but then I met some goats in France, and now I'm kind of creeped out eating goats because they were the nicest. They were like dogs. They were the sweetest animals. This thing was wagging its tail. It was like my best friend, and I was going, oh my God, I don't think I can eat you ever again. But anyway, Nia Vardalos, the actress, was playing with one of these. Chivo was playing with one of these on TikTok or Twitter, and I wrote and asked her, and I think she was following me. On Twitter. And maybe I wrote her privately, but we just struck up this nice little friendship during COVID. I mean, she's not my friend. I mean, she's, Nia Vardalos. But we had a very nice, we had a very nice long conversation privately on Twitter that was really nice. She seems very sweet. Anyway, this was the goat. So she told me where to get the goat on Amazon, and the rest is history. But I think the goat just cracks me up. Anyway, film longer videos for YouTube, like a weekly recap will bring more money. Maybe I'll try. I was trying to do like shorts on YouTube, and they'd get like 1,000 views. Like it wasn't really doing anything, and I just wasn't sure like what's worth it. I mean, I can easily film original stuff for YouTube. I don't really know Joey Contino. I mean, I know of him, of course, but I don't really know him. So I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people like him. He's another guy covering Ukraine. I just don't know him. Like I know Yulia. I don't know Preston very well, but he's very good. Preston Stewart, he seems very good. We've talked a few times, but he's very, I like him. Where is he? He must be Jersey. He reminds me of Jersey. Or is he not? I shouldn't say that. Dawn, I forget where you are. Maybe you shouldn't tell people where you are. Thank you, Flower Lady, for the enchanted guitar. How bad do you hate Putin? Oh, somebody's asking Denny's from Ukraine. Yeah. Yeah, no meat. My mother actually did that once. She watches sometimes. I don't get in trouble, but my brother's ex-wife, when they were dating, and she brought her home for the first time. And I remember we were making something, and I told my mom, and I was like, Mom, she doesn't, just so you know, she's a vegetarian. She doesn't eat meat. And I remember my mom's not going to remember this. And she goes, she's in my house, and she will eat whatever I give her. And I was like, Mom, it's not like a rudeness thing. It's a they don't eat animals thing because they think animals are nice. You know, but it reminded me of Big Fat Greek Wedding when she goes, it's not meat, it's lamb. It was like the funniest damn thing. Oh, I love that though. It's not meat, it's lamb. Oh, thank you, Mary, for the gift. Oh, Kelly, thank you. I appreciate that. I haven't seen a pledge come in on Patreon forever. Thank you for that. I mean, the thing is also Patreon really is the easiest way, but Patreon doesn't allow me, as I said, to link Discord. So like if you want the Discord stuff, if you want the Saturday show, don't do Patreon. Otherwise, Patreon was the best way to do it. It was the easiest way to do it. Oh, thank you, Sunshine. I appreciate that. Thank you. Like I said, I hate this part. If I could just get enough subscribers and never ask you guys for gifts again, it would make me very happy. I don't know mobile pay. I don't even know what it is. I've got like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, credit cards. It takes two, but I don't know what that one is. What else? What else? Thank you, Timothy, for the hat. And remember, tomorrow morning, we do have our coffee talk for the paid subscribers, the monthly subscribers on TikTok, and then the monthly subscribers everywhere else can join us on Discord. So 11 a.m. A carrier pigeon. Okay, that'd be cool. I'd like to just see the carrier pigeon. Oh, nice. Oh, hey, Dennis. Well, let's go. Thank you. You went to law school in the U.S. Wow. I went to law school. That's not easy. Especially as a foreign student, I would imagine that would be very difficult. Thank you, Super Hornet. Just because reading the law was very hard. As an American, oh my God. I remember it taking me like when I first started reading the law, it took me 5 minutes a page because the pages were just so thick with information and words that you didn't understand. 5 minutes a page, and I was like, I'm going to die. And then I got better, but still, it's not the most fun stuff to read. I went to Georgetown for my law degree. Mary, again, thank you. Vlad is good. Vlad does have a new fundraiser. We were going to do a live for Eurovision. I'm flying back from Chicago that day. I have to see. Let me see. If there's a chance that I could maybe move it. Thank you, Jeremy. That I could maybe move it the next day, but I didn't know I picked my return flight from Chicago Eurovision day because normally we do our Eurovision hangout, which is really fun. A law degree in the U.S. is 3 years after university. So first you have to finish university for 4 years in anything, really. You can study anything. Then you apply to law school, and it's 3 years of law school. So it's quite long, and as you know, America quite expensive. I don't remember what it was exactly, Malayathos. I don't know. I just remember clearly somebody reported me to Patreon, and the San Francisco liberals I say this as a somewhat liberal guy myself, the San Francisco liberals that they come down and punish anybody who's pro-Ukraine. Good little communists that they are, I guess. And you know what? They never paid a price for it. That should have been a huge story, that Patreon was coming down on Ukraine creators. You know, they wanted to be fair in the war, and it's like, really? You wanted to be fair in genocide? Would you be fair in World War II, Patreon? You know, I'd be curious if there's the people running Patreon, if any of them have family from World War II, how they feel about that conflict and being fair, you know? No, I mean, I'm a big liberal, so I don't mean to knock SF liberals, but there's also a stereotype that I think is true that I saw when I was in San Francisco and New York too. And frankly, they're gaining ground on the left where they're a little out there for my tastes. And that's exactly the kind of people who at Patreon would say, we don't want to take sides in the war, so we're not, we're requiring you to disconnect Discord. It was just like, you don't want to take sides in the war, seriously? I mean, it's like F. Anyway, don't get me started. Talking about Patreon is like talking about the United Nations where I used to work. It just gets me angry. Germany attacking Russia. No, the only issue I can think of is the German chancellor, the leader, said he's not going to give Ukraine these cruise missiles that Ukraine really needs because he's afraid the Ukrainians will use it to attack Moscow. That's his latest excuse he just came up with. Patreon's headquarters is in San Francisco. Surprise! So, yes, and I didn't find it yet, Lost Aim. Thank you for reminding me. I Googled this before the show and I couldn't find it. I had heard about it. There's some kind of a leak of German military officials discussing the Taurus missiles. And I just literally saw that before the show, but actually I don't think I even had time to Google it. So I've not seen, but from what I'm reading, it sounds like, initially I would have thought it was fake. It sounds like it might be real. So don't know. Of course, Colin, that's the thing with Patreon, someone's asking, Yael, Patreon is this website that is, what's the word I'm looking for in economics when you're a trend leader, what's it called? When basically you're ahead of everybody else, early adopter in a sense. So it's sort of an early adopter, and the fact that everybody uses you. First mover, where everybody uses you, right? Kind of like PayPal in some ways, although some people still don't use PayPal. Patreon is a site that influencers and creators used early on. So a lot of people know how to use Patreon. It's very easy. They're able to set up accounts there very easy. And there you go, So it was a really nice site to use for me for this because people already had accounts. They knew how to do it. GoFundMe is a great site. Oh, GoFundMe is a very good site. Yes. Because they tend to be pretty good about clamping down on frauds and things like that. Now, GoFundMe, I don't know where they are on Ukraine. That's its own issue. You know what I mean? But yeah, Patreon, I mean, again, it was great for this. And then they sent me the threatening letter and I had to basically move people elsewhere. And that's when things got hard because the other sites, I would say nobody is as easy as Ko-fi, not as easy as Patreon. Like the other sites just aren't as easy as Patreon. Except that Patreon, hates Ukraine. Like, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, there's an old joke in the States, but an older people joke which I just used, which is other than that, Mrs. Lincoln. And the joke is, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you like the show? The joke is you're talking to the wife of Abraham Lincoln, who was the American president during the Civil War, who won the Civil War for the North for freedom, 1865, I guess. He's assassinated, and the joke is that but he was assassinated at the Ford Theater in Washington, D.C., a very famous old theater here. And the joke is somebody says to the wife, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you like the show? So it's kind of a joke we use, although it's older people like me who use it. It's a joke we use to say, like, when you're like right now with Patreon and everything else, I'm like, well, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, sort of like, I've been giving you so much negative news and everything else. Let's switch to something else, but it's almost funny switching to something else. It's a great joke. Older than me, Lamb Chop? Yeah, too soon. Yeah, too soon for Abraham. I know it's hard to explain. It's a joke about a president we assassinated, but we didn't assassinate him, of course. Yeah, thank you, Christopher. There is some weird. I read there was some weird connection. Oh, thank you, kanji. Is it kanji writing? I always forget. For the hearts, is that what it is? I don't remember. Oh no, I ate dinner before the show. I'm doing okay on food, actually. Tour of the apartment. There isn't that much to show, and my apartment's a mess anyway. You get to see the clean part of the apartment. My desk is a mess. My room isn't a mess totally, but it's a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not that big. I just have great lighting in my living room. I set up the lighting, which it's hard to tell now because everything's on full, but I've got really nice, the hue lights are really nice. I do own it. I bought it, but I bought it old in life because I had student loans. It took me 15 years to pay off my student loans. So I'm one of those. So I didn't buy it until I was well into my 40s. So are all the money sites secure? I mean, you'd have to make your own decision. I will tell you, for me, I certainly trust PayPal. I certainly trust Cash App and Venmo because they're widely used and widely respected. But again, I don't want to promise you anything, but they're so widely used and that I just, just that. And anyway, that's all I can say. And also, like PayPal especially, it's not easy to get by in life without a PayPal. If you're older and you don't do a lot of commerce and stuff, maybe. But I find occasionally I need PayPal for this kind of work. But PayPal can be easy to send money to people, although now we've got Cash App and Venmo. But like sending money is very easy to people, which is nice, whether you owe them money or even just paying, a guy you have come, the plumber or whatever. It can be a nice, easy way to do monetary transactions. I did pass my bar in the first attempt. Yep, I took the Illinois bar because that's where I'm from. But I didn't really need it. I just took it because I felt, it was funny. I shouldn't have taken the bar, really. I took it because I felt guilty. Like I got the law degree and people kept asking me, where'd you take the bar? And I hadn't taken it. And I thought it made it sound like I was a dummy. like I wasn't smart enough to take the bar. So I took the damn bar. Yes. And I passed Illinois. Like I said, just because it was home. So I figured, why not? Yep. Oh, and I see, but I can't see your name. So somebody, is it going to let me in? It will let me in. Dave. Thank you, Dave. Okay. I think that's Dave. Yeah. Thank you. It didn't show in the preview. It didn't show me your name on PayPal. I was like, who is this? Thank you for that. That was nice of you. WeTransfer. You e-transfer in Canada? Really? Oh, that's interesting. Did I hit the bar? I know, practically. Oh God, on studying and how to learn stuff? No, I don't know. Be smart. Literally, I don't know what to tell you. I just studied. That's, I have no advice on how to study, really. Studying was pretty straightforward for me. I got in quiet room and read, sometimes classified music, but that was about it. And read, I'm not sure what to tell you because, I didn't really, I didn't do anything special. Oh, for the bar, you mean? Thank you. Who's that, ... for the hearts? Do you mean for the bar exam? If you mean for the bar exam, honestly, I got the old bar exam books from my cousin and I read them for 6 weeks. That's what I did. I literally just, my work gave me 6 weeks off because they liked people on the Hill. They in the Senate, the boss liked us to be lawyers. So they gave us 6 weeks off paid to study for the bar. And I literally took 6 or 8 weeks off of work and I just read the bar books every day. I read the books, I did the lessons, and it worked. So, Sobo, what made me passionate about politics? Me. I've always been, it's funny. My mom still has the letter when I was a kid from Uncle Milton's ant farm. And I had an ant farm when I was 8 years old. And all the ants died like within a week. And I was so pissed off that I wrote them a threatening letter. And I threatened to send it to the state attorney general. And I was like 8 years old or 10 years old and wrote this very detailed letter. I've always been a little pissed off, which probably is not a good thing, but pissed off in a way of pissed off about injustice, like people cheating. That's why, thank you, Ernie. That's why I'll often tell you guys, like, I don't like people lying and I don't like in politics when they lie. Like, I don't like dishonesty. I don't like cheating. It pisses, like when you get things from companies and they break and they shouldn't break, I complain. I'm one of those people and it gets fixed, and politics is kind of the same thing. I've just always cared, about stuff like this. It just, because there's a lot of, again, depends on your definition of justice and injustice, of course, that's a given. Now, I was just gonna say, feel free to get that one, mods. The mods and I were talking the other day, and we were like, trying to see if we can be a little nicer in moderating, because it's hard to moderate the comments. YouTube is usually very good, but TikTok, we get so many crazies, and it's very difficult to tell who the crazies are. So we were just saying, like, we're trying to be a little, like, less trigger happy, but somebody who puts Putin with a bunch of hearts next to his name, I'm willing to ban that person right away. I'm gonna guess that person is not a. I don't remember, Margot, if they sent new ants or not. I don't remember. I don't think they did, actually. I don't think they did. Thank you, World is my oyster. Ant farms are pretty cool. Like, now I don't think I'd want one in my house, but they're pretty cool because it was neat. Like, seeing the tunnels they make and everything. The thing too is I don't know how long they live. Maybe they don't live very long, you know. But they are very cool. So. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, Terry. Yeah, on sharing the subscribers. Thank you, Olga. You know, it's funny you say that because that was something back when I had a political blog. I had one of the top political blogs in the U.S. back in the 2000s. But one of the complaints I always had was the bloggers were always working independently. Like we wouldn't. I kept saying, let's link to each other. Like you know, every week or maybe every day. Grab some of the top posts from each other and link and say, hey, go check out so-and-so today wrote this really good piece, just to like share more traffic. No one else wanted to do it. No one else wanted to do it, right? Nobody. And I was like, okay. And I always feel sort of that way, that people on the same side never sort of figure out well enough how to thank you, Richard. What's the word I'm looking for? You know the word I'm looking for, sort of maximize their gains with each other. They just don't do that, which is really annoying. So, no, but it's it's working together, but like using the people who follow my blog, the people who follow your blog, the people who follow your blog, and telling them to go check each other out. So then we're amplifying, we're leveraging maybe is the word. We're leveraging each of our viewers to go to check. And the same thing for this, frankly. But like we said with this, a way that we could, now part of the problem is to some degree, it helps to find people around the same size, right? Somebody with 3 million people, it might be, I may not be sending them as much traffic as they're sending me. Or if someone's got 50,000 TikTok followers and I've got 600,000, I'm actually helping them a lot more than they're helping me. So you do get into that issue of almost a fairness thing if you're trying to figure out how to help each other. It can be a little difficult, but yes, that we ought to figure better ways of promoting each other. But it's hard. Yeah, you have to sort of promote people who are equal-ish is certainly easier, you know? Oh, what else, guys? Oh, la, 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 la. Oh. But yeah, let's see. I'll see about, maybe I'll start doing YouTubes again because it's easy for me to do at least the shorts. I can do the shorts on YouTube. I mean, that's easy. Because I've always got, stuff all day long for TikTok as well. And I'll just do original ones on YouTube because they like the YouTube stuff. What do I do for fun on weekends? I don't do nearly enough for fun on weekends. Not really. I don't do much. I love to travel and stuff, but that requires a bigger thing. I don't do a lot on weekends, to be honest. I wish I did. I'm more of a homebody, although I don't really want to be a homebody. Oh, sorry, guys. We yawn at you today. Well, this is fun in some ways. I have always found I've always found my work fun to a degree, which I like. Even though Mary asked, do I date? I do date. I haven't dated in a while, but I do date. Somebody was asking years ago, somebody I was dating, and it was Sunday morning, and called me, and I was like, working on something. And he said, what are you doing? I said, he goes, are you working? I was like, no, I'm doing this website thing or whatever. It's fun. It's like my hobby. He said to me, it's not a hobby if it's what you do for work. If it's the same thing you do for work, it's not a hobby. And I thought that was the funniest thing. I was not Eschaton. Eschaton was Atrios. That was Duncan Black, I think is Duncan's last name. I was America Blog. Yeah, Duncan was Atrios. Yep. Oops. Just look at here. All right. Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, we're gonna go soon. I'll probably do more. I'll probably do some more of the subscriber only like lives and things just to kind of do stuff to benefit you guys more. So I'll try to do more of those too. Yeah, I haven't heard. I don't know. I don't know if he's still he was blogging for a long time. I don't know if he still is. Yeah, Duncan was very good. Duncan was very, I don't know if the word is pithy or what it is. He was very good at like short, smart things, you know? Well, that's the thing, right? If you love what you do, you'll never work a day. The only thing is you still have to make money, but it is fun. I mean, I love working with the internet. It's just, Yasutam, it's so much fun working with the internet. You know, I've always loved that. You know. All right, guys. Oh my God. All right, that's an idea, Dawn. Maybe I can. Yeah, the cherry blossoms are a bit of a zoo. It's a lot of people, but they can be very pretty. I can. Yeah, we can see. Well, actually, it's much brighter with the sweater. I should have taken the sweater off earlier. Thank you, Robert, for that. You know, the only reason I don't wear these shirts is because people told me the lighter colored shirts, it was harder to read the comments on TikTok. So like, that's why I've been wearing, like, I always try to wear dark clothing because the people said the comments were harder to read. But that's a good idea. The Cherry Blossom Festival isn't a bad idea. Maybe I will do that just for fun. Take you guys, if I'm here, depending when they bloom. Although actually this year they're for sure going to bloom early. Alexa, when are the cherry blossoms in Washington going to bloom this year? Let's see if she knows.
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the National Park Service issued their initial peak bloom prediction for the season on March 1st. Their prediction is that the blossoms will reach peak bloom between April 2nd and 5th. Oh,
April 2nd and 5th. That's a little late. I'm surprised. I may just be here at that point. I probably am going to be, because I'm going to Chicago and then Bali and Singapore for my nephew's wedding. So if I'm here, I can try to do a cherry blossom visit. It's very crowded is the only thing. So I'm not such a fan of going because I went a few years ago with Damien actually, and it was very nice, but it's a zoo of people. It's just like, but it's super pretty. It's super pretty. But yeah, some people were complaining whenever I wore the light shirts that they couldn't read. But I like the light shirt, even though I'm looking at it. I like the light shirts because I think it's brighter. It's like a little more happy and airy kind of look, you know? Bellin, what do I think of R.F. Kennedy Jr.? I think he is a lunatic. I think he's crazy. He unfortunately, I think he's a liar as well. He is an anti-vaxxer. But I mean, he's an anti-vaxxer like completely. I told the story of him. He was on CNN a few weeks ago and was asked by one of the hosts, and he lied, and she caught him. And she said, you know, you recently said that no vaccine has ever been proven effective and no vaccine has ever been proven safe. And he goes, that's not true. I never said that. She goes, roll the tape. That's all she said. His image comes up from last summer. So it was just like it was a couple months ago from last summer. And he goes on about how, and she plays a minute of it to make sure he can't say it's out of context. And he clearly says there hasn't been a single vaccine ever proven effective. And there hasn't been a single vaccine ever proven safe, he says. She comes back to him and he starts to go, well, you know, and he starts giving all these BS answers at this point. He's a liar. He's a fraud and a liar. And the sad part is he was a huge environmental activist years ago. And he was a big deal. He was a wonderful environmental activist, you know, and he's crazy now. I mean, he's cuckoo crazy. And the problem too is he's in bed with all the weird Republicans because they love, the weird Republicans, because they love him because he's anti-vax. So like all the crazy COVID denying people love him now. Again, if Republicans want to vote for him instead of Trump, God love ya. But as far as voting for him overall, he's a Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's literally crazy. And like I said, I think he's dishonest as well because he clearly thinks vaccines are not safe and they're not effective. And he said it in speeches, but whenever he gets called on it, he lies about it and denies it. And it's like, dude, at least have the courage of your convictions. If you're going to be anti-vax, be anti-vax. But don't be anti-vax and convince people to put their lives at risk. And then when you get called on it publicly, you go, I never said that. Well, at least be proud of yourself, you know? Anyway, yeah, he's a bad guy. Oh, okay. Terry just posted about this. I heard something right before we came on. Fishermen in Alaska have captured what they believe to be a downed spy balloon of the coastal forces. The coastal forces are deployed to investigate the intrusion, and the object has been turned over to the FBI. Interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay. I saw something right before the show, but I wasn't sure if they were referring to that balloon that they found the other day. There was a balloon like 2 or 3 days ago, and I thought maybe that was the one, you know? Interesting. Supposedly in Alaska, fishermen have uncovered a spy balloon that crashed in the water, and they turned it into the FBI. But again, who knows what it is? I mean, some fishermen found a balloon. I mean, it's still possible it's something else, but it's also possible it's a spy balloon. It's also possible that it washed 1,000 miles away from somewhere else, right? I mean, it doesn't mean it was flying near U.S. territory. It could have been, but the sea is a big and a big and undulating thing. So who knows? Well, aside from anti-vax, that's like saying aside from being a raving conspiracy lunatic, how is he? I don't think I want to put somebody in the White House who's a raving conspiracy lunatic. So, and that's his big issue. I mean, he's terrible on Ukraine too, by the way. He literally repeats the Moscow line on Ukraine. Lovely. He's practically Jill Stein on Ukraine. It's all the West's fault. We're all to blame. Putin couldn't help himself. No, the guy is, I don't think the guy's all there. I really don't. Thank you, Way Ray. RFK Jr. Yeah, ha ha ha, Christopher. I don't know. I don't know about different sites for making videos. I don't know about AI in that regard. I don't know. I've actually still never been to the Spy Museum in DC. There's a neat little CIA museum out in the middle of Maryland that I've been to that's very cool. It's a little itty bitty place, but it's like all the really old spy equipment from the 1950s or 40s or whatever. It's really neat. But if you're ever in the area, but it's out there somewhere, it was very interesting. But the Spy Museum I've never been to. Of course I've been to the Exorcist Stairs. I went to Georgetown. Are you kidding? I used to give tours of the Exorcist Stairs. I would, at one point, because I thought it would be fun, somebody asked me when I was in graduate school to give tours to prospective students. And the tours were always really boring. So I'd take them to the boring places, and then I would take them to the Exorcist steps because nobody took them. What? Imagine you're giving a tour of Georgetown and you don't show them the Exorcist steps. Now, for those of you who are too young, you may not know, The Exorcist was a hugely popular, very scary movie, maybe 1970s, about an exorcism, in Georgetown. Fictional movie, very good, very scary, very good movie. Max von Sydow, Linda Blair. And the house it's a real house in Georgetown, and there's the real steps outside that are pivotal in the movie because the steps are long, they're creepy. At night there's like a light in the middle. It's really creepy. So I would always bring the students to see the Exorcist steps, and they loved it. Of course, they loved it. In the field in Chicago, the stairs inside have fossils in them. Oh, I never noticed that. That's cute. We just went to the field recently with my nephew and his fiance or wife. The other Air and Space Museum? No, it's too far out. I shouldn't say that. I went once, a long time ago. Like the new Air and Space Museum that's out by Dulles. I went once, but a very long time ago. I don't even remember it. I think I remember seeing the space shuttle or something, but I just don't remember it. I think I liked the one here better in town. I think the Air and Space Museum out there, I don't know if at the time it had fewer things or something. I thought maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I like giving tours. I think it's fun, It's performing. Performing is fun, Home Alone and Breakfast Club film in Chicago. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not surprised. Yeah. I think I knew that. I guess I knew that about Home Alone too. Yeah. Yeah. A lot. That was what's his face? The producer who liked doing the Chicago area, who's from the Chicago area. What's his name? John, what's his face, right? You guys know, big film producer, John Hughes. Yep, there you go. Who's very good, but did a lot of those movies. Oh, wow. Fossil? Pfft, I'll take a fossil gift, Robert. Are you kidding me? I love fossils. I've got, actually, well, you probably can't even see. I've got one that's, I'll like zoom in. So that on the floor, the rock is a fossil that was in my backyard in Chicago. That's like big. Was in my backyard in Chicago when we moved in like 1971. And I found it like in the corner under the stuff. And I Googled it and finally figured out what it is. It looks like a tail, but it's a sea animal 300 million years ago. I'm forgetting the name, but the entire animal is this tail. It looks like a tail like this that curves at the end, and it's a sea animal, and I'm forgetting what it is, but it's very cool. And the other really cool piece I've got, well, you guys can see, well, for you guys, it's on the floor, the little white thing right by my fingers. That's the sea. It's the rock. But the other cool one, one of my faves really, is that which is a huge piece of petrified wood that I bought at an estate sale. And it's like a 28-pound piece of petrified wood. For you guys, it's that piece for TikTok or for YouTube. And it's so cool. But it's a nice piece. And I mean, I was at an estate sale. It was like $125, which isn't cheap, but it's a 28-pound piece of petrified wood for $28 or for $125. I was like, why did how much did you pay person get muted? What happened there, Ash? What happened there, Ash? So, did the person say something else? I don't mind them asking how much I paid for it. Just double check that wasn't like. No, Ash is good. Ash is good. Yeah, feel free to message me. How much did they pay you? Oh, is that what it said? I thought it said how much did you pay? Oh, it said how much did they pay you? Oh, it's a Russian reading their comments out of place. Oh, I'm sorry. That's funny. I'm totally thinking somebody asked how much did you pay for it. It was $125, which is expensive, but not for this. Oh, that's hilarious. So it was a Russian troll reading their troll comments. Yes. How much are they? What is it? How much are the Jews paying me to talk about dinosaurs, or how much is the CIA paying me to talk about dinosaurs? Who is that? Robert? Yeah. Message me. I guess you can message me on here, can't you, Robert? I think you can. Yeah, I think you can. No, I'd love that. It's funny. I also have a Noid dinosaur bone. No ID, that's like this big that I love. And I'll show you guys, all of you, because I love this thing. Hang on. Oops. Actually, I'll show you here. Now we're doing show and tell again. So this is the Noid piece of dinosaur bone that I love, but nobody knows what it is. And it's cool because it's a cool piece of dinosaur bone, but nobody knows what it is. I mean, I've never taken it to an expert, but my suspicion is because we know, other than it came from Morocco, nobody knows anything about it. So it's hard to know, but it's really cool. I mean, it's a beautiful specimen. There, you guys get it in focus now. I mean, it's just a gorgeous specimen of bone. Isn't it beautiful? I love this thing. And the other thing is I did just buy this at an auction recently, which I've always wanted one of these, and it's actually a very nice specimen. This is dinosaur poop. How's that for cool? Kid you not. Coprolite. It's not that rare, but I just think it's totally cool. But this piece is one of my faves, even though it's the comment. There we go. The comments. Coprolite, exactly. Even though it's not ID'd, which is too bad because I would love to. Yeah, I could lick it to prove it, Ofri. But it'd be neat to know. Like, there's the one thing that I'm curious about. This piece is interesting just because the top part being a bit ragged. I don't know whether that's natural or something. You know what I mean? This stuff here on top. Carcharodontosaurus. I forget what karkara is in Greek. If that's hard, maybe. What is that? Well, it does though. It's an interesting indentation along the top. But again, it could just be worn. It's hard to know. but it's a really, I mean, and I like, because dinosaurs is neat too, because they can be a really beautiful, almost reddish purple, which is really a T-Rex. It would be cool if it was T-Rex. I know, you know what I mean? But the color, I don't know if you can get the color well enough on here. The color is really pretty. Hang on. Oops. There we go. Oops. There we go. But I don't have, I mean, I've always loved dinosaurs. I don't really have dinosaur stuff otherwise, though. I know, we should go back to the Field Museum, Okarkara is a smaller version of a giga. And I forget what karkara means, though. I was thinking hard, but I don't think it's hard. I'm not as big on rocks and crystals. I do like them, though. But I've always been into fossils. Fossils fascinate me. But I also like archaeology, too. And I've got some cool archaeology pieces, too. From Alaska, and I've got very cool stuff from Alaska, which because I had worked for the senator from Alaska, I got a lot of cool stuff that I just love, which is why earlier somebody from Alaska noticed my baleen, which is that big piece in the back. You guys can see it. Oops, that big piece, which is from the mouth of a whale. I've got to remember, I think it's 10 feet long. It's a nice piece. It's a very nice piece. Only the Alaska natives are allowed to sell it. Oh, Dawn, are you up there? I didn't remember that, Dawn. I guess I didn't remember that. But don't know what that is, Chili. No idea what that is. Oh, Fairbanks. Oh, wow. Oh, you get some nice northern lights. I've been to Fairbanks only once. I forgot, doing some work for Stevens at the university. I don't remember what it was. But I didn't get the northern lights when I was there. Fairbanks you must have some beautiful nights, I would think. The dino bone might fluoresce under an ultraviolet. Does that happen? I've got an ultraviolet. Do they actually do that? Do they do that? Dinosaur bones? Really? They can fluoresce under ultraviolet? I can try. I mean, hey, thank you, Big Rhonda. Some? Well, let me 1 second. Just for fun. Geek that I am, I do have an ultraviolet light. All right, just for fun. Oops. No. I don't think so. No. I don't have anything that's phosphorescing on me here. No, not that I can tell. No. Nope. Nope. All right. Nope. Nice idea. Oops. Nice idea, but not phosphorescing or whatever the word is. So yes, sadly. I didn't know that, though. That's interesting. Oh, if there's heavy calcite. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's true. I wasn't doing it in the dark. True. It's a little harder to tell in public. But anyway, yeah, so I've always loved dinosaurs, but I like archaeology too. Like I like old stuff in general, old things that are, well, but the thing is, I also am into astronomy too. I was going to say, I like old things from people or animals, meaning like dinosaurs or whatever, or ancient civilizations. But I also find you can buy little bits of moon rock and stuff now, and bits of Mars and things online, actually. That's very cool to me too, even though that has nothing to do with life. It's not old. It's not like somebody 6,000 years ago did this, but it's still very cool to me. I don't think they remind me of my youth. That's not it, Tulikivi, because I've always loved them. I've loved this stuff since I was a kid. I mean, since I was a young kid. I was into fossils when I was, 8 years old or whatever. I've always been into this stuff. To me, it's like you can feel the history in it. That's what's fascinating to me, that literally was a dinosaur. You know what I mean? That tree was literally a tree for millions of years ago. That to me is amazing. Or some of my archaeology, I've got a little flute that's pre-Columbian that's shaped like a parakeet. And I just find that fascinating. And it's probably, I don't know, the flute may not be as old, but it might be 500 or 600 years old. I don't collect books. No. Maybe 500 or 600 years old, but it's shaped like a parakeet. And I just love that this is a flute somebody made and used 600 years ago. That's just so cool. How many yards in a mile? Well, I can tell you how many feet. Oh, we did this yesterday. We did this yesterday. It's probably, what did we say, 1,600 and change, maybe 60, I think is what we said. Right? I think so. I don't remember. Was that how much we said? I remember because I know feet. Feet is 5,280. So 1/3 of that would be yards. So 3, 6, 7. I'd say 1,700. Oh, 1,760. There you go. I was going to say 1,700 and something. Yep. Because it has to be 5,280 divided by 3. So anyway, 3 feet to a yard. 3 feet, because everything is difficult. So yards are base 3. Inches are base 12. I mean, it's just ridiculous, Exactly. What do we call 1,000 pounds? Nothing. Which really is true. Like 2,000 pounds is a ton and 1,000 pounds is nothing. I don't think, no, a yard is 3 feet. It's not 3.3. A yard? If you mean a meter, that's a different question, right? But a yard is 3 feet. Lots of Roman. Yeah, the Roman and Greek stuff is fascinating. I mean, I'm closer to I did visit Pompeii. It was wonderful. I need to go back, though, because now it's even bigger, I'm sure, than it was before. And I went on a tour that was almost kind of stupid, because when you go on a tour, like, they only gave me an hour free, and I was running everywhere. I need to go and spend days in Pompeii, basically, I did go and take my own train to go to Herculaneum. That was neat. Thank you, R19. And that was also 20 years ago. So not 20, maybe 15, 16 years ago. That's where I went. Herculaneum's the town that I went to. Yeah, that was fun because I also went on my own. So I was able to take time and go through it. But it was so new that a lot of it hadn't been uncovered yet. Now, I'm sure it's much cooler than it was, No, I just love all that stuff. All the archaeology and the paleontology is just like, It again should have gone. I mean, it's one of those should have gone into things, but I also wonder, like any field, if the pursuit of it I would have just hated the politics and everything else, trying to raise money for a dig and all that kind of stuff, just like, ugh, the outlines. Well, I did see in the museum in Naples the outlines of the dead people. They really brilliant. Whoever came up with this in Italy, they found some of you may not know this. They found Pompeii, Vesuvius erupts 79 AD or whatever it is, and volcanic ash, disaster, killed everybody. I mean, also because it was like hours later, the big blast with the heat wave just destroyed everybody. Then piled under feet of volcanic ash for millennia. What happened was people's bodies decomposed over 2,000 years, and there was nothing left but a hole in the volcanic ash. The interesting thing, though, is imagine like volcanic ash being a rock hardened around your body, or cement around your body. Well, once your body disappears, the cement is still there. It's cement. It's not going to cave. So they found holes of people in the rock, and they filled it with plaster or whatever, and they ended up with these amazing death images of Vesuvians. And they're little. I mean, I'll pull this up and show. No, Google it because it's a little gross. Deb, leave if you need to. But it is one of the most amazing discoveries of what they did. Hold on. Vesuvius death. What would you call it? Cast, maybe? Plaster casts. I mean, it is the most. I mean, you are literally looking at people dying 2,000 years ago. It is the most amazing thing ever. And You see their positions. You see, like the one guy on his back. I mean, it's, and again, I know I don't want to say it's gross. It's weird, but it's also, it's like, for example, some of them too, where was this? Some of them too have people holding on to each other, which is really kind of scary and weird. No, it's the most amazing, and again, that somebody found the hole, knew what it was, and then thought, let's fill it with plaster and see. Is everything okay? Things are okay, Jani or Johnny in Finland. Yeah, things are fine. You guys are still members of NATO. I know Petra I want to go to. Yeah. Pompeii Pompeii is huge. Oh my God. But Petra, I'm dying. I love Italy. I've got to go back to Italy. And spend some real time there, Yeah, Tut's tomb, imagine. Like I went to see some of the Eritrean tombs outside of Rome that were fascinating. Outside of Rome that were fascinating too. The Eritreans they were this civilization sort of living alongside the Romans that just got wiped out. I mean, I don't remember much about them, but beautiful funeral. Or I'm saying Eritrean. I think Etruscans. Eritreans are from Ethiopia. Etruscans, excuse me. The Etruscans. Yes, thank you, Deb. Sort of north of Rome and in the area, and the Romans just kind of either wiped them out or they just became absorbed into the Roman culture, but they had their own culture, and they have these beautiful funeral tombs from the Etruscans that are really cool. And you can go, and we visited them with the mosaics and everything. Very neat. I've never been to any UK historical sites. It wasn't until a while ago that I knew you guys even had anything, because like the Roman stuff, and I just never... Paris has got some cool stuff, which I've never been to, which I should. You walk by the baths and stuff in Paris, the ones that are, Boulevard Saint-Michel and Saint-Michel and Saint-Germain, I guess. Is that the intersection there? Where you've got the baths or whatever they are, the Roman. But I never visited, which I should have. More discoveries being made of Etruscans in Pompeii. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Moldova, yes. Putin probably is going to go after Moldova next, sadly. I have been to Tuscany a few times, yep. Catacombs in Paris I've been to, very fascinating. I know, I've been meaning to go to Ostia Antica and never have. Yep, that's also on the list. No, I need to just retire. I need to marry rich, retire, and then travel the world a lot. But I want to go and live in Italy for a long time and be able to see stuff. And I've never been to Ireland either, no. Been to your airport, bought a sweater, but never been to Ireland. I've been dying to go there, which is bad. Yeah, Pen. I'm thinking of that. The issue is TikTok sometimes dings you if they can tell that your videos are on YouTube as well. So I probably would have to just do the video twice, which I could, because if I do it once for TikTok, it's in my head, I know the topic. So maybe I'll start doing that again and just see if I can build it up more. I was doing it originally and it didn't seem to be making much difference, but then again, maybe I didn't try long enough. Yeah, I'm dying to go to the Baltic states too, which I've not been to. That would be quite the Blarney Stone. But exactly, Mustard would buy me if I auctioned myself. He's generous that way. Can you buy land in Ukraine as a foreigner? I don't know. Any Ukrainians know? Can a foreigner buy land in Ukraine? You got it, Mokab. Marie says yes. Okay, Marie says yes. Deb says yes as well. All right. There you go. So very interesting. I know. I would love to. Maybe I will do those trips. We'll do it. Favorite town in France? I don't know. The thing is, I've spent a ton of time in Paris and not a lot of time everywhere else. I mean, I've been to a number of places in France. I have. But I still have spent so much time in Paris that I feel sometimes like I don't know enough of the little towns around France, And I do love Paris. I mean, just because it's kind of home in a way, because I lived there and I've spent so much time there. But I don't know. I didn't love Nice, to be honest. I loved, friends of mine had an apartment in Roquebrune, which was really nice. I liked that little town, up in the mountains. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I like little towns. I've always liked cute little towns in any country, really. Am I an ex-journalist? Who knows what I am? I mean, I have been a journalist before. I wrote for The Economist as a stringer for a while. I was blogging for a while, but I mean, my blog was a big deal back in the 2000s. I was one of the biggest political blogs in America, but also in the world. So I've done a lot of journalism. I wouldn't say I do, although I wouldn't say this is journalism, but it's not journalism. You know what I mean? Like, I try to go, I have my biases or my opinions, but I try to go through the news and distill it for people in the way you would writing a news article, where you kind of go to, read all the different sources, figure out what's going on, and then, tell people. Yeah. All right, guys. Oh God, it's 8:00. Dear Lord. Okay, we've been doing this for 2 hours. All right, guys, I'm going to get going. We've got tomorrow morning, nice apartment in Bruges. I've never been to Bruges. I've heard Bruges is wonderful, though. I told you I went to Ghent, which I loved. I loved Ghent. I just found Ghent to be very warm and friendly. Thank you, Robert. I'll check right now. Thank you. I found Ghent to be very warm, like a hug. It was just a wonderfully warm, friendly, and they had the big music festival going on or something at the time. It was just lovely. Ghent in Belgium. Yeah. Just lovely, lovely people, lovely. My Ghent story was I loved Ghent so much that I came back and I did a pictorial essay for my blog about how much I loved Ghent and put all the photos and everything. And somebody in Ghent saw it and they wrote it up in the local newspaper. This American blogger falls in love with Ghent, and they borrowed my photos, which is fine, and wrote it up. And then I started getting hundreds of people from Ghent. They found my Facebook page and went to my Facebook page and started thanking me for loving their town. And it was the cutest thing. It was just these hundreds of Belgians just writing me these thank you notes. I mean, it was crazy. It was just absolutely crazy. Which just made me love the town even more. Like, just what nice people. But imagine, like, you're from this small town and you find somebody online to go thank him halfway around the world for liking your city. I mean, it's crazy. It was absolutely adorable. But people told me that Bruges and everything is even better, which I've, again, never been to. That'll be when we do our trip to Syndicate, I do think they're going to go after Moldova. The question is when. I mean, it's not easy to go after it now, not to get into the serious stuff again. Thank you, Joker. Because it's not like Russia has a lot of troops. Then again, they don't need a lot of troops to take Moldova, Tintin's from Belgium. There you go. I didn't grow up with Tintin, though. That's a very French thing. Americans don't grow up with him. Well, no, my favorite was I discovered Belgian waffles in Ghent because it was the music festival. I was hungry. My friends went to hear some, I don't like jazz. My friends went to hear some jazz, and I was like, I'd rather walk around. Walked around town square, very busy, hopping, and people are getting waffles. And I thought, and I'm thinking it's a waffle. And I'm like, I don't want a waffle. Like, in America, a waffle is something you eat for breakfast. It's kind of hard to explain. It's not a dessert. But I was hungry, so I thought, okay. And I'm looking, and I went to the guy, and I was like, okay, I'll have one waffle or whatever, whatever it's called. And I think he must have said, I don't remember if they eat it with ice cream or not. I think they use cream, though, right? I remember cream, and I don't know if in Belgian, cream in German was Schlag, but I remember, I think, cream. And he said, would you like some chocolate too? And I thought, well, I mean, I love chocolate, so I was like, oh, why not? He puts this chocolate and cream on this waffle. This thing tasted like a warm chocolate chip cookie. It was like eating a big, warm, gooey chocolate chip cookie fresh out of the oven. I thought I was going to die. In my life, I've never eaten anything like this. and I was leaving Belgium like the next day, and I was like, all the years I've gone to Europe, no one has ever told me about Belgian waffles. Like, here you hear about Belgian waffles, and you just kind of think they're waffles. Like, I don't like waffles in America. I like pancakes. Oh my God. It was insanely good. Yeah. And exactly. It just was, Luis, it was just, again, as an American, warm chocolate chip cookie, you know? Yeah, my dad did die. My dad died 8 years ago. 7 years ago. 7, yeah. So that is why I don't talk about dad, because there's no updates. Carter, mom is still alive, so there's still updates. So I know Waffle House. No, that's okay. It was 8 years or 7 years ago. Yeah, waffles in the U.S. are different. They're okay. They're kind of, well, I say breakfast food. They're sweet. I mean, they're like, but they're hard to describe. They're kind of hard. They're hard and soft. They're firm. They're not, chocolate chip cookies. My mom was born in Greece and immigrated to America. My dad was born in Chicago, but all my grandparents, including my dad's parents, were born in Greece. So my whole family is from Greece, and they came, everywhere from the early 1900s to 1938. So the first few decades of the 1900s, my whole family came from Greece to America. But yeah, oh my God, Belgian waffles. Actually, my nephew had bought some of the hard sugar they use for Belgian waffles. So I've got to remember when I go home next time we were going to make some. How did they meet? They met at some local church gathering for the region in Greece, because, a lot of the villages go to the same place. And she said it was like the Messenian picnic or whatever it was. It was some dance or whatever for the local village region, but in Chicago, the local village in Greece. So it was very funny. And they met there. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A very Greek way of meeting. Exactly. Very funny, but yeah. Anyway. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to go because it's an hour. We've already done 2 hours and 15. So thank you, guys. Thank you for the gifts tonight, too. I do speak some Greek. My Greek used to be fluent, Offrey. Now it's very rusty. So now I can I can survive in Greece. I'm fine with taxis. I'm fine with restaurants. I can tell people kind of what I do, but I can't have a political conversation in Greek. Once upon a time I could. I couldn't do that now. It's rusty now, but yeah. Anyway, guys, so thank you. I will see a bunch of you tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time US, for the paid subscribers, monthly subscribers on TikTok. All the other monthly subscribers, join us on Discord. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Robert. Thank you guys for the gifts. I appreciate your understanding on all of that. It's a pain in the butt, but what do you do? But I will not let TikTok get me down. So thank you. Exactly. Burp. All right, guys, I will see many of you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Monday. So thank you all. This has been fun. This was fun. I enjoy the hanging out aspect, actually. Like, talking politics is fine. 2 hours of politics is hard. An hour of fun is much easier. So thank you, Tiger. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks, Cheryl. All right. See you guys. But we'll do more. Yeah. I'll have to figure out. Maybe one of these nights we'll do hangout night or something instead of politics. A night that's slow or something, come and just do a, open show, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But all right, guys, have a good night. Thank you, mods. Thanks, everybody.